Cheers. Having some coffee. I'm gonna do a little bit of reading. How you doing? This is a really good book. Ooh, right. Good section. Page 109. Sorry. The Samkhya Yoga Darkanas. Samkhya, Samkhya. Samkhya Yoga Darkanas. Yeah, look it up. Interesting stuff. Has for the Bhagavad Gita itself, the great work which has become the rallying point and gospel of Indian theism, thank you. Indian theism. Its leading thought is to show a more excellent way to the people within the fold of Brahmanism than that provided by the Karma Yoga of sacrificial magic or the Jnana Yoga. Is it Jnana or Nana? Jnana. Jnana, or the Jnana Yoga of the Upanishads and the Samkhya and Yoga systems of philosophy. Sacrificial magic and Upanishads we're already familiar with. Look at Upanishads, Upanishads. Look that up. Sacrificial magic and Upanishads we are already familiar with. The Samkhya and Yoga Darkanas, as such, we have not yet met with, and something must therefore be said about them if we are to understand the Gita's attitude. The Samkhya is the reformulation by the Brahmin author Kapila, 3rd century BC, of the cosmology of the old Dravidian ideology, Dravidian, Dravidian ideology, which we have already studied in connection with Jainism. Hello. Jainism. The Yoga Darkana, similarly one by Patanjali, 2nd century, of the system of ascesis practiced in India since archaic times. Patanjali, Patangali, of the 2nd century, of the system of ascesis, ascesis, practiced in India since archaic times, likewise well known to us. Evidently, Brahmanism at the time was hard to put in its struggle for survival with this non-Brahmin ideology, and in defense restored to its usual method and bodily incorporating alien thought into its own all-comprehensiveness, and then passing it off as its very own. Yes, I would agree with that. A lot of people are saying, never heard of it. People they know, never heard of it. This is so foreign to them. Never talk about any of this stuff. And some were brought up with it. Yeah, growing up, different classes and stuff, just being exposed to things, and you start to learn and see that older generations, time, space, location, depending on where they're from, what they do for occupations. I know it can really depict how someone is, whether snappy or short-tempered or comfortable. I mean, it could just be something as simple as a subject matter if you even bring up certain topics. God. Right, well, for a lot of us, when it's those handful of topics that are affecting all of our systems and people are blind to it, to conspiracy, like it's a sin to even talk about those things. Right, I know, and it's a sin to swear for some, it's a sin to masturbate for some. I'm like, where are you from? You know, they wrote movies about this in books decades ago. Yeah, so when people play dumb to it and take advantage of people's stupidity or ignore the issues and concerns, the neglect, it's just very bothersome. And I don't know, people have just become accustomed and normalized to ignoring it. Right, because even if you did say anything, it's conspiracy. You are now labeled schizophrenic. That's how they have the system set up, and it's been that way for decades, and we tried bringing awareness to this back in the early 2000s. Like a big island, isn't it? The author of the Gita seems to have doubted the success of the method and anyhow felt that he possessed a far superior one. Like Jainism, Kapila's cosmology distinguishes two ultimate substances, spirit and matter, jiva and ajiva, here called Purusya and Prakita, Purusa and Prakriti, 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 Prakrti, Prakriti, Prakriti, Prakriti. Man, that's a lot of R's in a short space. Prakriti. It is only two R's. I mean, it's the sounding, you know, the sound and close together. Prakriti. Prakriti. And, you know, we have a hard time with R's around here, so. I am speaking for myself. Yeah, when I say around here, I could just mean around my energy space in my head. Round here. Yeah, so you can be judgmental if you want. Mm. I hope so. Hey, hey. You got everything? And he's off. He's very quiet, fast in the morning. He doesn't really like to get up, you know, too early. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he likes to get up early. Sometimes he sleeps right to the buzzer. I have no say, no. It is my son, yes, technically, but I'm not even guardian or anything, so. You know, if I mention anything to do with any of those kind of life things that are very important, I'm, yeah, told to mind my business. Yeah, years ago, was it, my goodness, 5, 6, 7 years ago now, I mentioned a few things about concerns with that, with stuff with, yeah, different on and offline things. Yeah, I mean, we had people coming from out of state telling us things, so
Yeah, when the locals want to play stupid to it because they're involved with other things or protecting their sick fucking family members, sons and daughters, serve and protect, right? Mm. Oh, we tried telling him, and the private investigator in 2009 who shot and killed himself tried telling him. But yeah, I remember we mentioned some concerns there with that, just physical stuff, to sitting too long, not having any kind of direction. It was completely just not even talked about at all. And if I said anything, that would make me a Karen. And I think they were almost ignoring it purposely, so I'd have to be the one to say something. And then the kids are going and checking the box. Who's the Karens? Yeah, I guess me saying anything about too much screen time and no kind of interaction, preparation for life, skills, training, because the public schools are pretty bad with that on. It depends. It all depends. They're actually really good with it too. I know there's a lot of good teachers and stuff. I think we have a pretty good school system. It is sad, some of the programming, and you can see how easily some can fall through the cracks with a lot of the stuff going on within the state systems and politics, and how that really shouldn't even be at all affecting them, but it very much does, and it's sad how many adults. Well, back between 2008 and 12, the investigations and all the MySpace and YouTube bullshit and these idiots and activists and pieces of shit wanting to analyze people. Yeah, should they be on disability or not? They can work, just really minuscule stuff like that. Because those kind of people, those are the kind of things they're going to pick on. They're not going to do anything serious, right? They're going to get the Karens and the Nazis and the non-vaxxers. Well, hold on, they're part of a cartel family and there's investigations going on over here with that. Do you know how many years we've been doing this? Since we were kids, as long as we can remember. We've had granolas and activists and state workers that would complain about the drug trafficking and overdosing, and we're just retarded 10-year-olds, You remember that? I know, and I can remember kind of agreeing with some of the things, and you say something, and some of the dirty shit happening with what they did with certain people and the child molesters. From what I could see, they put innocent people in jail and sickos got away and jumped the state, from what I remember. Yeah, some were just passing by as it was, and those passerbys are usually who get a few of the idiots and goons and people in desperation just ready to teach people a lesson because they've had it coming for years. That's what they look for. It's a playbook, dude. Sales and marketing, 101. Right, so what I could see is, good people went to jail and sickos got away. And a ghost pushed me down the stairs for being bad when I mentioned something about it. And we had to hurry up. I remember, too, before we went to the hospital, we had to go to a modeling shoot for my sister. I was in the back seat, my arm, I remember it hurt so bad. And I was sad because I couldn't get out to watch the pictures being taken. It was up at the Capitol. They were taking her pictures for the newspaper. Apple Queen. Yeah. And I was sitting in the car and my arm hurt so bad. I'd fractured my shoulder. Yeah, I fell from the top of the stairs and I landed. I didn't even hit any stairs. I went upside down and landed on my left shoulder on the second step, and then all my weight went to the floor, and I had a lot of weight. I was a pretty heavy kid back then. I was heavier than I am now at 44. I'm 150 pounds. Yeah, I was a pretty big kid. I was 200 pounds by the time I was 12, 13. I was 250 by the time I was a teenager, so. Yeah, I drank a lot too, that didn't help. I wish I had just smoked marijuana. Would have been better off, but tapped into the hard alcohol. Well, when there's so much of it and people make it and I'd steal it and stuff. I know I can remember one time coming into town and went into Hannaford. Yeah, I filled up my whole book bag and I had a 30 case in each hand. Yeah, I remember too, I think it was a thing of wild turkey. I dropped the whole fifth right on the floor. And the smell, it just wafted up so fast. I was like, someone's gonna notice that. If you didn't hear the crash, you might start to smell something. I just went out the door. I walked out the door. I'm pretty sure there was a manager behind me. He had his notebook. I'm telling your daddy. It was a long time ago, you know. It was back in the 90s. Yeah, right. Pretty crazy. Probably another one of the reasons I was put on the programs. Yeah, that was before I was put on the programs, yes. I was put on the programs when I was 18. Rehab programs, probation, quite a different streams going on. Some of the programs you might be familiar with that you'd be able to find documented. ARC out in Bath, Addiction Resource Center. Yeah, we were actually there when the towers got hit, and I remember all the alarms going off and stuff because they build the military ships out by that area. Yeah, that was freaky. Dad had to come pick me up in his pimp mobile. They used to call it the pimp mobile because it was this big white, what was it, a Grand Marquis with the blue velvet seats. Oh yeah, and the people, the inpatients, they were going crazy up on the third floor. Boom, boom, end of the world, apocalypse type stuff. That was actually really scary. I'd say I was 18 or 19 years old. Yeah. I would have been 19, you're right, 2001. See, there you go, yep. I was born in 1982, so I would have been 19, you're right. We were working for a lot of those sales and marketing companies right around that time as well, yeah. When you look at that being put on those systems. We had worked for fast food places as well before that, but then we went into more of the sales and marketing stuff. That was East Coast Marketing out of Westbrook, Maine. Yeah, they had managers, 15 to 20 of them all over New England. They would hire people off the street, runaways, people with warrants, stuff like that. No paychecks. No, you get paid cash under the table. This was again back in the 90s. Checks and balances, you know, thank goodness, you know, and body cams and more regulations started coming into play. And then, well, where are all those people going to go? I remember people like Gordon Ramsay and them were trying to open stuff for people with a record. Where are all these felons going to go then? Right, because that's was their bread and butter. That's how people were surviving. If you, yeah, if you had warrants, a runaway, or if you just had a record, you know, a bad record, had a hard time getting a job, you have that kind of stuff on your permanent record. It's really hard to get any kind of job that pays well. That's not dangerous. You know, when you're working with those levels of the general public in certain areas that are going to be willing to hire you. Wow. Right, and then that just makes you an easy target for the meat markets that go around targeting those people who no one's going to miss because they're a convict or a felon. Bound to happen. I know. Or whatever other reason, yeah, just people can't stand them. Whatever it is. They're retarded, caught up in the limelight. Could be either or, depending on, you know, where you're at. Paperwork? Lots of paperwork. No paperwork. So that's where all the crimes and really, really bad stuff happens. Right. The people who get away with it are up here. The ones that are doing all this stuff, which helps them get away with it, are down here. And it usually happens in those areas too. But then see how the ones that are here, just a select few involved with those things, they start to climb up the ladder a little bit. Right, so what was once here is up here. And it goes both ways. You see them fall all the time, don't you? Yodel yodel hee hoo. For many, they really don't care. They don't really care at all. A lot of them are on this kick where they don't have a choice, man. You only live once, and it's, it's either that or go to Skid Row, and they'll show you the pictures. Look at them, man. You don't want to wind up there, do you? Okay, no. So to them, it's like, it's worth it. They'll turn their head to the worst fucking bullshit. They will. They will turn their heads. No, and they don't give a shit. They really don't care. To them, they don't have a choice. Because if they look that way, right, that means they're going to lose a lot of money, and them and their families are going to wind up like that. Can't have that. Right, so over the years, it's been that kind of, yeah, exactly, you get it. Yeah, some people have been on board for quite a while. I hope so. I really hope so.
Like Jainism, Kapila's cosmology distinguishes two ultimate substances, spirit and matter, jiva and ajiva, here called Purusa and Prakriti. Out of Prakriti, primal matter, the whole of nature, is evolved. First, the most subtle elements of it, the mind organs, Buddha, Ahamkara, and Manas. Then the progressively coarser ones from the substrates, 5 each, of perception, action, and sensation, to the 5 gross elements of ether, air, fire, water, and earth. There are thus counted 23 emanations or consolidations of Prakriti, constituting with it 24 categories, and with the soul, Purusa, 25. This is the classical Samkhya. How am I doing with the pronunciations? Yeah? Awesome. Thanks. Oh, that's funny. But there are 2 other versions of it, of the materialist who leave out the last category, the 25th, and of the theist who add a 26th, vis-a-vis God. It is from its fondness. It is from its fondness for enumeration has a substitute for explanation, that is, system. For explanation that this system has been nicknamed of numbers, Samkhya. Next in importance to these 23, tattva of Prakriti, the 23 quiddities of matter come its 3 guna, its fundamental qualities. If tattva replies to the question, what is it? The guna replies to the question, how is it? Thus, the quality of all things is classified as being either sattva, rajas, or tamas. 3 terms which originally referred to the 3 regions of the universe, the bright heavens, the intermediate region of the wind and rain and earth. The prominence given to them is quite incomprehensible until one realizes that they most faithfully characterize the three strands of which all Indian thought is still composed: Sattva, the serene sky of Proto-Aryan pastoralism; Rajas, the region of the thunderstorm of Nordic war ideology; Tamas, the earth, worshipped by the black natives of Dravidian India. Logically indefensible, this doctrine of the three gunas is thus seen to express, in the most precise manner, the fact that Indian thought is a blend of three fundamental elements, and to explain whence these elements derive and how they came to amalgamate. Crossword, we're doing A's today. That's a perfect one to start with. Amalgamate's the first one on our A crossword for today. Amalgamate. A-M-A-L-G-A-M-A-T-E. Amalgamate. By way of further proof, just a black coffee. By way of further proof, we may say that not only is this Gana doctrine applicable and still regularly applied to the caste distinctions between Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Kudras, but that it is entirely restricted to Indo-Iranian Jainism. Hold on, I skipped a line. To Indo-Aryan ideology. Aryan to Indo-Aryan. Am I saying it right? A-R-Y-A-N. Iran. You say it. Restricted to Indo-Aryan ideology and quite unknown to Jainism and proto-theses terms, and perhaps best be translated as the intellective, kinetic, and inert characteristics of things. If that makes any sense in English. I'm going to pause there. We'll read more of this later. Yeah, I'll post the pages, okay? We're at 27:44, so trying to keep them under a half hour. Oh, we are finished. Page 110 and 111 is where we're at, so I'll post those. You're welcome. Yeah, thank you. Sun's coming up. You see it shining on the church. It's shining right on the steeple.